Hi, I'm Scott Newnham, the CEO of Audio Advice. The day has finally come and you've just put in your new surround sound receiver. You've connected up your speaker cables in your Apple TV and Roku, and you're probably really proud you've got both picture and sound working. So the big question is, do you sit back and enjoy what you've done, or do you spend a little bit more time reading the manual to really dial in your new setup? As a company with thousands of installations under our belt, we go behind lots of systems done by other companies. It may surprise you to know there are an awful lot of home theater receivers out there installed by alleged professionals that had no more done than the wiring connected, just like we described above. The audio video world is one of the few areas where you can only halfway finish and things will still work. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through the major steps for getting the most out of your surround sound receiver. Why is calibration so important, and why are almost all of our installation clients amazed when they hear the before and after? It really comes down to enabling your system to perform up to its best potential. And heck, it only takes some extra time. You are essentially making adjustments that allow your system to deliver the sound to your ears that is as close as possible to what the producers of the movie or show envisioned. Now, let's walk through the key steps of setting up your receiver and why they matter. Okay, let's start with speaker fine-tuning. This one is the first step before you do anything else. Ideally, you want your left and right speakers to be the exact same distance from the main listening position and the same distance off of the wall behind them, and if they're angled, at the same angle. If you're designing your theater now or have the ability to move your speakers around, go input your room dimensions in our free home theater design tool at audioadvice.com, and it will show you the optimal locations for your speakers. If you don't have full flexibility, just make sure they are between 45 and 60 degrees from the primary listening position. Then listen to a track you know well with a single vocalist. Try to move the angle on the speakers until it sounds like the voice is coming from the center point between the speakers. Getting your center channel and subwoofers placed and set up correctly is so critical that we created specific videos on how to do those, which are also linked in the description. Okay, now let's move on to setting speaker size and crossover. Almost every home theater will have a subwoofer that is designed to handle the low bass tones and deep special effects. Most receivers default to having your front speaker set to large, meaning that they will play the full frequency range. However, if you have a dedicated subwoofer in your system, then for 95% of speakers, other than the very largest towers with great power, you're better off setting all of your speakers to the small setting so that the lower frequencies will play to your subwoofer. This takes the load off of your main speakers, helping them to perform better in the mid and high frequencies, and letting your subwoofer do its job for bass. Frankly, a subwoofer or subwoofers will normally do a much better job on reproducing the deep bass. In most cases, you should set your crossover to 80 Hertz for all of your speakers. If you have smaller sides or ceiling speakers, you might test moving these up to 90 or 100 Hertz. If you really want to nail the voicing from your center channel speaker, then watch our video on center channel calibration that also has very specific test tracks that will enable you to get the perfect crossover for your center channel. Now, let's set your speaker levels. This is one of the critical ones. When your receiver is brand new before calibration, every single speaker is going to get the exact same level of volume from the amplifier section. You might think, well, that seems like the right thing, but it's actually not for a couple of reasons. First, you want the sound from each of your speakers to be at roughly the same volume. It's okay to turn your center channel up a little bit or boost your subwoofer for personal taste after you've set it up, but in general, your speakers should be set close to each other in default volume level. All speakers are not made equal, and some speakers will play far louder than others with the same amount of power coming to them. Also, even the position in your room can affect how loud a speaker sounds to your ears, as the room may reinforce or take away from the perceived output level. Fortunately, all home theater receivers have what is called a speaker level control to balance out your speaker volume. All you have to do is turn on the receiver's test tones, measure the levels using an SPL meter, and make adjustments up or down on each speaker until they are all the same. The simplest way to do this is, if you don't have a professional mic, is to download the SPL meter app to your phone, linked in the description. All right, so one tech tip. When you're using the SPL meter on your phone, what you want to do is actually take off your cover because it's blocking the microphone.
and then actually turn the phone upside down so to get the microphone in the best place.
Then run the test tones and set all of your speakers to 75 dB. If you have multiple subs, set your combined sub level to 75 dB. If you've got questions on how to do this, check out our subwoofer calibration video or give us a call or chat with us at audioadvice.com. We'd be happy to help you out. Now, let's set your speaker distance or delay. The sound engineers who create those amazing effects in today's movies spend a great deal of time producing a soundtrack that fills the room with immersive sound. To get this magic to occur, the sound has to get to our ears at the same time from all the speakers. Obviously, in a typical room, almost every speaker is a different distance from our ears. The good news is every home theater receiver also has a way to correct for this. You simply measure the distance each speaker is from your main seat, put in these values, and the receiver makes the corrections to allow the sound to arrive at your ears at the same time. The one caveat here is that if you have a subwoofer that has digital processing in it that you enable through a phone app or the subwoofer control panel, then you will need to increase the distance of the subwoofer by approximately 1 foot for every millisecond of delay in the subwoofer system. If you don't know the delay in your subwoofer, you can find it by playing our 80 Hz test tone or whatever level crossover is set in your system and slowly increasing your distance for the subwoofer in 1 foot increments while measuring the SPL. When the subwoofer is in phase with the rest of your speakers, the SPL will hit its highest point. As an example, in this theater we did with JL Audio subwoofers, we had to increase the distance from the true 10 feet to 22 feet in the receiver to account for the 12 millisecond delay in the JL Audio processing. You can learn more about this in our subwoofer calibration video. Finally, you'll run room correction if your receiver has it. Many modern surround sound receivers have added a new feature that can actually correct for problems created by your room. Every room impacts the sound in a pretty dramatic way, reducing some frequencies and boosting others. Room correction or room equalization systems have gotten very good at eliminating a lot of these problems. Doing this step can make a huge difference in some rooms, but it can be a little daunting. We've created an entire how-to guide linked below to help you with the room EQ, and it's definitely worth checking out if you want to nail your room calibration. We also have how-to videos on the major room correction systems like Dirac and Arc Genesis. So now that you know why, you're probably ready to jump in and do your first calibration. Calibrating a home theater receiver used to be a daunting task of menu after sub-menu that felt as if it required a PhD in owner's manual speak just to get a good outcome. Today's home theater receivers have made the process much easier, and in some cases, it's all totally automatic. Just make sure you keep the microphone pointing straight up. If your unit did not come with a tripod, it's a good idea to invest in an inexpensive tripod so you can get the microphone at ear level. Many will step you through the process with an easy to understand on-screen display. I do have one bit of advice. If your system automatically adjusts everything, it's a good idea to go back into the menus and confirm everything looks and sounds okay. We've seen distances and crossover points be way off sometimes. Most automatic systems seem to do a decent job with the levels. It's an easy matter just to recheck your distances with a tape measure and confirm your crossover settings are close to 80 Hz after the auto calibration runs. While you're in your home theater settings, there's another thing I highly recommend you do to your audio settings. There's still a lot of content that's being produced in just stereo. However, all modern home theater receivers and processors can take that stereo signal and upconvert it to surround sound, and it's done really well now. You just have to tell your system to do this. This setting is usually found under the input menus, which means you'll need to do it for each input. You can see here where we want to tell the system if it sees a stereo signal to play it back in your favorite surround sound mode, which for us is usually Dolby Surround. Doing this will greatly enhance your experience and put the voices in the center channel where they should be. One last thing to do, particularly if you're using a projector, is to set lip sync on the receiver. We created a specific lip sync video that has a test track to help you set it perfectly. You'll go into each source input and play our lip sync video and adjust the lip sync for that source. If you really want to take your system to the next level, check out our playlist for the best free home theater audio and video upgrades. In this playlist, we have videos with test tones for nailing center channel crossover, subwoofer calibration, lip sync, and even video calibration test patterns you can use right from YouTube. This playlist is also linked in the description. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call or chat with our team at audioadvice.com. We really love this stuff and would be glad to help you out. Also, if you like and subscribe, you'll get the latest home theater content as we roll it out. If you're updating your theater or building a new one, check out the home theater page at audioadvice.com, where we have our free home theater design tool, how-to videos, inspiration gallery, and home theater install videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.